You may not realize it, but people can tell. You're presenting all the right ideas, but there's something in your voice, that quiver, that pause, that lack of strength that makes you sound unsure. And here's the hard truth: when you sound unsure, people don't trust you. Not because they dislike you, but because they're looking for a stable energy to lean on, someone that they can trust, that they will be led really well. And this happens to you at home and in the workplace because everyone's looking for stability and they're looking for that in their leader. Hello, everyone. I am Namita Purohit. I am a leadership and life coach, and I base my practice on Eastern wisdom and Western psychology. I help high performers and leaders build their inner strength, act with authenticity, so that they can lead with confidence, lead with ease on the outside, and make that impact that their followers are looking for. Make those decisions, and take everyone ahead on a very successful journey. Now, there are many chinks in all of our armors, and one of the chink some of us leaders have is uncertainty, is indecisiveness, is being unsure. And that's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to share two stories with you. One, a client story, a client I've been helping, and I'm sharing it with permission. And the second will be a story from scripture. And we'll be talking about a solution at length as well. So stay on as the magic unfolds and as you find out what can you do to help yourself. This podcast is sponsored by my self-love 8-week coaching program that I offer to people like yourself who are watching, for high achievers who feel disconnected on the inside and want to feel whole and live and lead aligned on the outside. Now, the problem is you're speaking all the right ideas, and that happens in the family too, right? You're talking to your spouse, you're talking to your children, you're presenting all the right ideas, you've thought through them really well. You know that's the right way to do it. You know that's going to benefit them. And you're doing that in the team meetings too. You know that this is the right way to do it. But the point is, as you're presenting those ideas, you see their body language shift. You go all excited, you think you have their buy-in, but when you're presenting those ideas, their body language is shifting. You can see them distancing them from you, and you feel your executive presence, your impact getting minimized, and you're wondering what you can do about it. And that's a lot of it. Today's focus is going to be about how it comes, why these things happen is because you sound unsure, because people don't trust your leadership or don't trust your position. They trust whether you have what it takes to carry them with you, right? Because they're looking to be led and they're looking to be carried. Now, I have been serving a client and a very sharp co-founder, but she felt left out in key decisions in her own company. Despite her expertise, she would go prepared, present things, talk about those things, have the data to back it, all of that. But her ideas were not taken. And last week, in the session that I did on last week on building unshakable confidence, I did talk about her story. But the first step that we helped her with was that she was looking for validation on the outside. Earlier, she wasn't even sure about her ideas, and she was looking for validation. She was looking for, um, you know, whether she's doing it right, whether she's got it right, whether she's understood things, because there was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-confidence that we had helped her overcome. And that's what I talked about in the last session. And once we helped her do that, and I thought that, let's see how it goes now as she's presenting her ideas in the room. It turned out that, and I saw some of her video recordings of, how she was, her body language and how she was communicating and things like that. And what I noticed is that while she had overcome that need for validation and that she's not good enough and she's not, perfect enough, and the imposter syndrome and things like that, we helped her with some of that, but there was still that lack of clarity, that indecision, that lack of certainty, and the way she was presenting it, she didn't seem very sure. And as I worked with her deeper this time, and a lot of this work happens in layers. It's not just you hear a video or you read a book and you're able to implement it. A lot of times you become solution aware, but you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to implement it, right? Now, as I helped her and we worked together, it turned out that this showed up because she still hesitated, and that's because she feared making the wrong choice. So there was a lot of fear around, what if this decision goes wrong? What will people think about me? Um, you know, how can I be wrong? I cannot be wrong. I have to have like the most perfect decisions, and when I'm communicating and when I'm presenting things, etc. Right? So she was hesitating. She sounded uncertain. She sounded indecisive because she believed that she had to get it right the first time. There was no room for mistakes. And if she messed up, she would lose credibility. Like, what if she, presented an idea that became a decision for the team and then everyone followed through, but it didn't work out, right? She would be a laughing stock. Why would people trust her? Why would, so many things, why would they follow her in the future? And that's what brought that uncertainty, that lack of surety, the lack of showing up as a decisive leader in her interaction with her team. And the same thing, the same, because you're the same person at home, you're the same person in the workplace. That's what carried at home too. Children didn't want to follow her, didn't want to listen to her, right? So she didn't have the confidence that, okay, whatever happens, we'll figure it out. And we're testing, and we got to test things, and we'll figure it out, and what happens in the future, and my team has my back, and my team, rather, I have my team's back, and I'm going to take care of them. So the team didn't feel that because she herself sounded so scared and unsure of herself, and nobody wanted to trust her. Now the deeper root is that she didn't love herself enough to make a call and be okay with it if it wasn't perfect, and if it ended up being a mistake. Yes. And it went wrong, and she didn't feel confident enough that she'll be able to handle it after that. Now, you may say, yeah, she's right. She's not confident she can handle the errors, whatever direction it goes in. A lot of risks that we take are calculated, and this would have been a calculated risk. But everything starts with building your own confidence in yourself. Yes. And then she didn't have that. And at her level, it was all about like, no, no, what if it happens? What if, it was all very self focused, not company focused at that time. Now, how does this erode trust? In the like amongst her team and amongst people who are following her and even in her family, is because she looks hesitant to take a stand. So they're not sure that if this doesn't go down the route that it should, will she have their back, or will she be hesitant at that time and not take responsibility? So she seemed very disconnected from her own ideas because she was more concerned about being right than passionate about the idea that she was presenting. And she was saying one thing and probably doing another. She was trying to inspire the team to do it, and she was saying all the right things, but she didn't sound sure herself. Her nonverbal cues were giving her inner dialogue away, and she was seeking validation before taking action. And she would avoid responsibility or deflect decisions in the future because she didn't seem sure about herself. She didn't say that, yeah, we could go wrong, but we'll manage this, we'll take care of it. She didn't seem like that. So nobody wanted to follow. So people lose trust in you as a leader when your energy, your body language, and your speech lack certainty. Yes. Like if you've like watched any betting ever, or if you're like watching a soccer match or a cricket match, there are certain sports persons when they're in action and you see them, like, say Djokovic, that he is going to hit this ball come what may. He's got that certain certainty and that confidence in himself. And he does miss a lot of balls, but a lot of times he misses them because he's still going for those hard shots, and he doesn't He doesn't feel embarrassed about missing them in, like, in front of a whole big or crowd out there. Similarly, if you look at some of the cricketers, the batsmen, or the bowlers, this bowler is going to get this person out, or this batsman is going to hit this ball for a six. You see that in that body language. You see that in the way they swing, in the way they time, in the way their stance, the way they hold their body. You get a sense of it even before they do it. And that's why when such people enter the arena or the stadium, you have a lot of people chanting their name, right? So when you are not able to exude that certainty, people don't find anything that they can lean on, that they can find support in, that they can find comfort in, that they can find shelter in, protection in, and therefore they back out and they don't trust you. Again, not because they dislike you, but they're looking out for themselves and their own safety. Now, I'd like to bring up this beautiful pastime from the Ramayana, which is something that I have been very enamored by ever since I read it for the first time, because I've heard about Hanumanji's qualities in very different contexts, in terms of power, in terms of strength, in terms of his devotion. But it's when I read the Valmiki Ramayana is when I realized that there were so many other qualities that we kind of missed out on in knowing. I missed out on in knowing. Now, this is a pastime from when Lord Ram and Lakshman are on the Rishyamukh mountains, and they are waiting for those 4 months to pass away, and they're searching for Sita, but it's a rainy season, and somebody's told them to, and they're waiting it out. Now, Sugriva is also over there, and he's very scared that, where are these two very strong, very prince-like, these men here? And he's scared. He thinks that his twin brother Vali has sent them there, and they're there to destroy him because he and Vali don't get along. So he sends his minister Hanumanji to find out what's happening. And Hanumanji, he disguises himself as a mendicant saint, and he goes and starts talking to them to find out, who they are and what they're all about and things like that. But then once he understands who they are, he gives up his disguise and he presents himself um, as Hanuman himself, and he speaks in very gentle tones, and he offers them deep respect. He praises them, and he speaks with great clarity and dignity. And by doing so, he wins their trust instantly. Now, these are words from the Valmiki Ramayana that I'm sharing with you. Now, as he does that, Lord Ram says the following words to Lakshman, and I'm reading from the slide. Only someone deeply learned, so a lot of subject matter expertise there, and a lot of skills there in how to conduct himself and what to speak and how to speak, could speak the way he does. His words are clear, graceful, and free from error. There's strength, depth, and gentleness in his voice. It moves the heart. Even an enemy with a sword would pause at such eloquence. A king who sends such a messenger is sure to succeed. Now, this is all about that power of speech. It's all about being certain in their speech, right? So, Hanumanji's certainty, Hanumanji's anchored presence is what, that's why Lord Rama trusted him. And we all have that Hanuman energy inside. My client has that Hanuman energy inside, but most of us have covered it up with self-abandonment when we make mistakes and a survival behavior. Now, and that's exactly what self-love gives us today. It's not about being loud, it's about being grounded, it's about being strong in your own presence, it's about being confident, it's about being self-partnered, and it builds the kind of executive presence that doesn't need to prove anything, because the energy that the person is exuding is steady. And that makes a huge difference into why, when some people speak the same ideas they're heard, and when you say the same things, you're not heard, you're not being valued. Yes? Now, self love builds that presence, that gravitas that Hanumanji had, and the ability to speak with quiet certainty, even if people disagree, and the ability to hold yourself, even if you may fail. And it's not about performance, it's about this inner strength, this inner fortitude that comes when you can hold yourself, that you can love yourself even when you make mistakes. And this helps you with being a certain and decisive leader. Now, as I worked on this particular aspect with this client, I already discussed last week about the self-doubt and the vulnerability and like I'm not good enough and bad and not worth it. I'm an imposter. That was another area that needed to work on. One layer done, but then we discovered this layer needed to be worked upon, and we worked on this layer. Now she became quicker in making decisions. She had more certainty in her body language. She was more confident in herself. She stopped outsourcing her decisions to people's reactions, and people trusted her and also rooted for her. They wanted to follow her. And they knew there could be errors. They knew there could be, mistakes happening, and they knew that they could fail, but they still wanted to follow her because she seemed so certain and decisive that they trusted her, that she has their back and she's not going to back out if something goes wrong. Yes. So when she was able to give that, it changed the whole paradigm in how people saw her, changed how her family saw her. Next level of work that we did with her. Now, do you want to build a similar kind of presence? Do you want to have this kind of impact in your leadership? And if you do, I invite you to my 8-week self love coaching program, where you get access to my stepwise course that helps you do your inner work at your own time. And it gives you access to group coaching calls with me to work and get personalized recommendations on how to apply some of these things. And for those of you who are looking for faster work with a higher level of engagement, I also have one-on-one coaching services available for you. The link for that is in the description below, wherever you're watching this. So you could either sign up for one-on-one coaching with me, or you could sign up for my 8-week self-love coaching program to build yourself. So in summary, when you exude certainty is when people trust you. And that certainty comes from a lot of self-love and self-partnering in yourself. And me and my team are here to help you with that. And we look forward to serving you on the inside. See you and bye-bye.